Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving straight into the core of Lesson 1.4, Cells, Tissues, and Organs. We are going to completely break down the biological hierarchy that makes life, well, possible. We'll be taking a journey from the completely unseen microscopic units all the way up to the massive, complex organisms we interact with every single day. So let's jump right into how living things are actually structured.
You know, it all really starts with one fundamental mystery. How on earth do invisible building blocks come together to create something as colossal as an oak tree, or as incredibly complex as a human being? It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. But life basically operates like a giant set of interlocking puzzle pieces. Every tiny piece has a specific role, and when you snap them all together, they build something way greater than the sum of their parts.
But hey, before we can really understand the whole organism, we have to appreciate the historical detective work it took just to find these building blocks. And it took a long time, over 200 years of observation. Back in the 1600s, early microscopes from guys like Galileo allowed scientists like Hooke and Leeuwenhoek to actually see these little compartments and living cells floating around in pond water. But the real aha moment, that took way longer. It wasn't until the mid-1800s that scientists like Schleiden, Schwann, and Virchow finally connected the dots. They declared that absolutely all plant and animal tissues are made of cells, and crucially, that cells only arise from other cells.
Which perfectly brings us to the top of the hierarchy, the organism. By definition, an organism is just a living thing. But the absolute key takeaway from Lesson 1.4 is that an organism contains many, many cells that are highly specialized to carry out particular activities. Whether you're looking at a towering redwood tree out in a forest or a human running a marathon, that organism relies entirely on microscopic teamwork. But that begs the question, how exactly do we get from a single specialized cell to a full, living, breathing organism?
Well, that brings us to our very first major structural milestone: tissue. When you take a group of similar, specialized cells and bundle them together, they form a tissue that's designed to carry out a very particular function. Think of it exactly like a sports team. Having one star player is great, sure, but a whole group with the same training, working together toward the exact same goal, they accomplish so much more. And this cellular teamwork is highly visible if you know where to look.
Take a simple plant, for example. If you zoom in on the protective layer inside an onion, the onion epidermis tissue, you'll see all the cells look pretty much identical. They fit tightly together, almost like bricks in a solid wall. All of these individual cells are working in perfect harmony to carry out one specific job, forming a protective surface layer. So tissues aren't just random, messy clusters of cells, they are highly coordinated groups with a shared, essential purpose.
And of course, animals rely on specialized tissues too. A great example is ciliated epithelium. That's the tissue lining the tubes leading straight down into our lungs. The cells in this tissue have these tiny hair-like structures on top called cilia. Because these cells are packed together, the cilia can actually wave in total unison, literally like a field of tall grass catching a breeze. Together, they constantly sweep dust and bacteria right out of your airways. It's just an incredibly elegant biological mechanism, all powered by a single type of tissue.
But here's the catch. A single tissue can only do so much. To pull off the really heavy lifting, life has to level up once again. When you combine several different kinds of tissues so they can work together, you get an organ. Your brain, your heart, and yes, even the roots and leaves of plants are all organs. They aren't just uniform blocks of one cell type. They are deeply complex structures made up of multiple cooperating tissues.
A cross-section of a leaf illustrates this beautifully. A leaf is actually a fully fledged plant organ. It's definitely not just one big green block of identical cells. It's more like a layered take of entirely different tissues. You've got the upper epidermis acting as a skin, the tightly packed palisade layer doing the heavy lifting for photosynthesis, the spongy layer handling gas exchange, and the lower epidermis. All these distinct tissues team up to create one single functioning plant organ.
Okay, we are almost at the top of the hierarchy now, because as it turns out, even organs need to collaborate. And that gives us the organ system. This is a set of organs that all work together to carry out the same overarching function. If we think of organs as individual machines in a factory, the organ system is the entire assembly line working perfectly in sync to produce a final result. This right here is the absolute highest level of internal organization. To put that into perspective, just think about your own body right now. Our source material highlights several vital systems you use every second of every day. You've got the digestive system breaking down your food, the circulatory system pumping nutrients around, the respiratory system handling your breathing, and the skeletal system providing your physical structure.
Every single one of these systems is a massive team of different organs, completely united under one vital bodily function.
So when we put it all together, we get this complete, crystal clear picture of our micro to macro journey. It goes like this. Step 1, the basic building block, cells. Group those similar cells together and you get step 2, tissues. Combine different tissues and you level up to step 3, organs. Link multiple organs together for step 4, organ systems. And finally, package all those systems into one living entity and boom, you arrive at step 5, the complete organism. It is literally a spectacular compounding of scale.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a really great question straight out of lesson 1.4. You know, we use the word tissue all the time in everyday life, usually when we need to blow our nose. But now you know that the scientific meaning is an entirely different ballgame. So how would you explain that difference to a friend? It's something to think about. Next time you look at a plant, a pet, or even just look at yourself in the mirror, remember the incredible microscopic architecture working tirelessly just beneath the surface.